When this started, I confess I did not understand. I guess maybe that's how it all turned out to be such a mess.
You a teacher? Got emotions? Got a lot of emotions that overwhelm you, that threaten to burn you out? Good, because this podcast is about transforming those emotions. The emotions that come with teaching, no matter how talented, experienced, or mature you are. Because classrooms these days can be such a mess, worse than you've ever seen before. We're tempted to treat the emotions that go with such messes as problems, feelings to ignore or numb out or rail against or blame ourselves for having. Wrong. These emotions are pure gold, if you know how to read them and transform them into wisdom and focused, effective action. Think of this as the teacher's lounge you have wanted and deserved your entire teaching life. Join my co-host, Joe, and me to hear stories about and interviews with teachers who thought nothing would ever change, but when they learned how to teach through their emotions, discovered just how easy change can be. In fact, it's amazing. Welcome to Teaching Through Emotions. I'm Betsy Burris. Let's get started. We've got a new interview today with someone I've known for many years, although I cannot say precisely how many. But Deb Calderara is a remarkable teacher who's had a life that is also remarkable. And I wanted to talk to her for this podcast so that she could share both experiences she's had and expertise she has in wellness for teachers in particular, wellness for everybody, but teacher wellness, which is a real interest of mine. So without further ado, Deb, welcome to Teaching Through Emotions.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me on. I appreciate it.
So the first question I want to ask you is, how do we know each other?
Oh my goodness. I'm not sure how many years ago you arrived at our school. And you did a teacher support group, which I was involved with. And then after COVID, when I feel like the whole rules of how to manage a classroom changed, I came to you for a one-on-one session. And since then, you've come back to our school a few times to do different professional development for our staff.
And can I just add that when you called me up to work one-on-one, you were going to quit like that very day.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, I was. Yeah. You showed me that teaching is where I really want to be, and that what students do, it's not an attack on us, but they're trying to tell us something.
And it's really good for teachers to try to figure that out before quitting.
Exactly.
And there's something else I want to say at the end. We'll talk about this at the end of our interview, but you're also involved in my training you to become a facilitator of teacher support groups. So that's a really important kind of advanced step that you're taking.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that.
Excellent. Thank you. What is your background in teaching and in the world of wellness?
Well, first of all, I went to college late, meaning I entered at the age of 38. I always wanted to go to college, but life got in my way. And I wanted to show my kids that it's never too late to follow a dream. So I enrolled at our local college and earned a bachelor's degree in history. Then right after I graduated, I was employed at our local school that I'm still at, 19 years. And I have my master's in special ed. So 8 through 12.
I did not know that. That is a great degree to have.
Well, I will tell you why I decided to pursue the master's in special ed. My first few years teaching, I felt lost, that I had really no idea or no business being in a classroom. I just felt like an imposter. And also, I noticed many of my students had either on an IEP or 504s, and I feel like I just wanted to give them the very best. So that's why I went into special education, so I would be able to reach all my students and have everyone flourish and just feel successful in their school.
You know, I feel strongly that any teacher who is thinking about the special needs of special ed students is going to increase the chances of reaching everybody in their class. So it's just a fantastic baseline to be aware of. I also just want to point out that your school is an inclusive school. There are no pull-out programs. So you
No.
have special ed kids in every class, which is really
That's
important
correct.
too.
Yeah.
All right. So you've been teaching for 19 years at the very same school. Tell me about wellness. Like, what do you do as a person who focuses on wellness?
Okay. So let's see. 14 years ago, I was really having a tough time just balancing work life, right? Outside, I had a daughter in college, a son in high school. My husband owns his own business. And I wanted to be the best I could be for my students. And so, guess who's last? That would be me. So,
Yeah.
and I kept having panic attacks every single day. I would just have one panic attack after another. And no one really saw them because I didn't allow people to see these panic attacks. And it wasn't until I call January 14th my rebirth day, because that's the day I had this unbelievable, the worst panic attack ever. And I just said to my husband, something is not right now with me. I keep getting these panic attacks. I need help somehow. I had gone to my primary and he said, well, how are you, Deb? And I just started crying. And I just said, I feel lost right now. And it's emotional.
Wow.
And whatever your spiritual belief is, I just believe in asking the universe for help. I just remember standing outside asking, I need guidance. I need help after I saw my doctor, because he's like, well, we can put you on these medications if you want. And I'm like, I don't want to be put on medications yet. I'd like to try to work this out. Give me 6 months. And I have this amazing primary doctor. So I just asked the universe for help. And the next day, my colleague said, hey, I just watched this really good documentary about plant-based diet. And I'm like, I'm going to watch it. And it really changed a lot of my thinking. And I always thought I was a healthy person to begin with, but I really wasn't. Then all of a sudden in my feed, in my email, I got this 21-day meditation invite from Deepak and Oprah, so it was like
The universe responded.
the universe was responding to me. So I started meditating, which I still meditate. I've always been an avid walker, and I just decided, you know what, I'm going to start running. So I started running from phone pole to phone pole, walking here, then running there. And on my 50th birthday, I announced to my family that I'm going to start running marathons and half marathons. And I haven't stopped. Yeah, so I just finished my 19th half marathon, well, in my 19th state. So I have a goal of running in each state. So I just finished Georgia. So that was number 19, and number 20 is coming up in March in North Carolina. So I've done triathlons, nothing big, just small ones. But I've run trail races at night. I've done a whole gambit of different running. And I think that's part of my health and wellness that not only helped my physical body, but also helped my mental health. So fast forward to 2021, I've been doing my yoga. I actually got certified in yoga, certified in Reiki, certified in Play Yoga. I'm a certified health coach, but that came after 2021. And I was in good shape, physical, mental shape. I was just in really good shape. And I had a heart attack on January 8th.
Ooh, almost your rebirth day.
Yeah, well, I like to look for number sequences. And so there's 6 days apart. And my birthday is January 20th. So,
Which is 6 days from your rebirth day. Wow.
yeah. 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 So anyhow, I had the heart attack, and I was sitting down ready to watch Alex Trebek's last show.
Jeopardy.
Because it was Jeopardy. It was his last show. I was very excited to see it. And I sat down, and I had the classic Hollywood heart attack. The heaviness of the chest. I couldn't breathe. It felt like someone was squeezing my heart, wringing it out. My arm went numb. I was nauseous. And I called to my husband. I'm like, I think I'm having a heart attack. Time stood still at that point too.
Yeah.
It's like what seemed probably went for seconds was like minutes and hours for me. It was just really, I'm trying to think of a word that would explain how it felt, just time stopping basically, or slowing down, or it widened and just went slow, if that makes sense. So number one thing that saved me was we called the ambulance within minutes of all of this. After like going back and forth, going, nah, I can't be. Yes, I am. Oh my gosh. And so calling the ambulance, having an amazing paramedic there, and being in good health. And this was during COVID too. So if something would have happened to me, the last I would have seen my husband is looking out the ambulance doors in the driveway because he couldn't come.
Wow.
You know, and he couldn't be at the hospital with me. They worked on me in the ambulance for a little bit because
They had to.
they had to.
Wow.
But the funny part is when I arrived to the emergency room, there was already a team of doctors and nurses waiting for me. And this was at our local hospital. They were all like asking me all these questions. And I just said, excuse me, could you ask one question at a time? I'm trying to process this situation. So if I answer your question, I might answer somebody else's question too. And they all kind of just
The
looked at
teacher.
me. And one of the nurses said to me, what do you do for work? And I said, I'm a teacher.
That's fantastic.
It was just like, I think about that and it's like, here I am having a heart attack, but I'm still going, could you just ask one question?
You're still doing classroom management.
Managing these people while they're trying to save my life. I don't want to tell somebody the wrong answer or misconstrue something that is, you know, not really answering your questions. And so they worked on me for, I don't know how long it was. I had no idea what time was. So then they shipped me to another major hospital an hour away from here. During that time period, something was happening and we had to pull over and something wasn't right with me. The paramedic called the ER and the ER doctor just said, get her to the hospital fast. Because he's like, we can turn around. And she's like, don't
Sirens,
turn around.
get the sirens going.
Go. And then, I mean, the weird thing is I was so calm through this whole thing.
Wow.
Even like at my house when I was having the heart attack, at first my brain was all over the place. And then I remember standing in the middle of my living room and saying, okay, all right, you need to calm down. And I said a couple of choice words. I just said, not today. Fuck you.
Wow. I love it.
I just said, I have too much to do. And it wasn't to anything or anybody.
Yeah.
It was just, no, I'm not going to do this. And I just became very calm, very, very calm. And through the whole situation, as I was leaving my door out of my house, they had to put me in a wheelchair because of where I lived, because a stretcher wouldn't work. I just remember saying to my husband, make sure the cat doesn't get out.
Yeah.
You know.
But you were so present. You were still present while this crisis was happening in your chest.
Yes. What I contribute to the calmness and being present is meditating every single day. You know, some days it might be a couple of minutes. Other days it could be 30 minutes, right? Depending on how I'm feeling. Honestly, I believe that meditation helped me stay calm through a situation where I was basically by myself. You know, I didn't have my people with me. I didn't have my husband with me or my kids with me. I was alone. And in that staying present and being mindful for that, what was I in the hospital for 3 days? It really made a huge impact. It helped me get through a time. And I look back sometimes and go, how did I do that? You know, how did I go to this hospital and deal with all of this and stay in a positive, present mood, which was just, to me, I look at it and go, holy, wow, that's incredible. And even when I got to the hospital that was an hour away, again, there was a team waiting for me. And I did that teacher move again because they were all like peppering me with questions. And it's like, really, I need to answer you one at a time. So I feel like I'm getting across to you. And I just remember the other thing too is the next day they had to put a stent in, and the person who was having me sign papers and stuff about like, if something should happen, what measures do you want us to take? And I'm like, all of them. Take them all.
Resuscitate.
Yeah.
Right. Yes, ma'am.
I'd like it all, And I just remember the person saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, this is just routine." And I said, "To you, it might be routine, but I don't get asked that every single
Exactly.
day."
Oh my.
And it was just like, they looked at me and I'm just like, I just don't get asked this every day. So bear with me,
Yeah.
please. Being in the hospital, it was just the humbling experience. It was so many different things all rolled into one. But I never felt pity for myself. I knew I was going to get out of there. I knew I was going to
Wow.
be okay. It was everybody else who was in that. Because when I got up to the 7th floor, the top floor recovery, I was walking around and I would just see all these people clutching their phones, talking to their loved ones. And it broke my heart to witness these people in their hospital rooms just clutching their phones, and might be the last time that they see their loved ones. And it was just really, really an emotional time. But during that time period, I couldn't go into like the emotions. I had to just be present, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Wow.
So when I got home, I was out of work for a while. I've always wanted to help people in certain ways. And I wanted to take control of my health even more. So I took one more step, and that was to enroll in a health coach course, which is a year long. And I did.
Wow.
It was amazing. It's so good because it put more of the pieces of my health into place that I needed and to help others. And my goal after my heart attack was to let people know that it's really important to take care of yourself. It's really important to be healthy. What does it mean to be healthy? Well, that you eat good food, whole foods that's good for you, and get out and exercise. I hate the word exercise. I like the word movement better.
Nice.
Because movement can be, you can dance around your house for 30 minutes.
That's the best exercise.
Yeah, you can do some housework for 30 minutes. That's movement, as long as you're doing something and you're building up your heart rate a little bit. But my goal was to just hopefully inspire some people to look at their health, because if this heart attack could happen to me, I'm not saying that it could happen to everybody, but here I was in good health.
Yeah.
The night before my heart attack, I was hiking up a mountain. And that morning, I was at the gym lifting weights. And I don't overdo it or anything. So
these stories of people who are like great runners or people who are super fit and having heart attacks just blow my mind. And you were one of those stories. But as you say, your fitness helped you survive. And I really do want to underline the importance of meditating. I've worked with other teachers and administrators who also meditate regularly, and it makes the difference in their personal lives, in their professional lives, because it allows them to do what you did, kind of detach and look at what's happening without going into a panic attack. I mean, I'm so interested that you went from panic attack to heart attack, but in between, you learned how to get those alpha waves going in your brain so that you were not adding to the stress. You actually diminished the stress because you had trained yourself to be mindful, calm, in your body, and able to have your body help you. I just love that. I love it.
Yeah. And breath work is really important.
Yes, the pulse, getting the breath through your body, getting those diaphragms moving. It's all really organic, healthy movement that doesn't have to involve sweat. So I love, the breathing. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I do this in front of my class too. Like if I see they're like really rambunctious, or, I come in and they're just like full of energy. I'm like, whew, I need a break. I just got here, but I need a break. I said, I need to take a breath in, and I'll take a breath in, and, I'll look around the room and I'll see like half the students are actually taking that breath with me. And then I'll just release it. And I'm like, I could do one more, And so it's just a subtle way to let them know that we can take these breaks. And it's really important to meditate or just take that mindful minute
Exactly.
throughout the day. And I'm finding more and more the breath work is really important. It helps regulate you,
Exactly.
when you're feeling
Exactly.
dysregulated. And it has helped me in so many situations. And like in my classroom, if a student is, not being very good or nice, I can take that moment and step back and just take a breath and then go, okay, I'm going to deal
The
with this now.
detachment, and then what we say in meditation, centering and grounding. And I work with so many clients with whom I emphasize the importance of knowing how to be in your body and stay in your body. We talk about getting in your garden and staying there, being in your body and being able to survive that and maybe even thrive there and know how to detach so that you can see what's going on without reacting, but also notice what's going on inside. You can see what's going on outside you, but you can feel what's going on inside you and collect all that data and have the wherewithal, the distance and the wisdom to make some decisions about what you're going to do about it, right? And meditation is the training for that. I'm not sure there's a better training, and maybe yoga, but I think yoga regulates one's body physically, but to be mindful and to use your brain, which is so often a problem, it can so often mess us up, to be able to train your brain to be the one that calms you or to be one element I just love that message, Deb. I really appreciate your bringing it to us.
Oh, you're welcome. No, meditation, and anyone can do it. There's apps for it, or just sit quietly and start for a minute. I think a lot of people might have misconceptions about meditation too, that you're void of everything. You're not.
Good luck. Good luck with that.
My brain goes a mile a minute, but I always tell people when we do meditation, if you have a thought, acknowledge it and then shoo it away and it can come back. But also I use meditation to solve some problems that I'm having. And it allows me that quiet space to think and come up with some kind of solution or a solution that might work. But I don't know, I just think a lot of people believe that meditation is like you're not thinking of anything, but that's not true at all. You are thinking.
You're thinking and in many cases feeling. I often encourage, in fact, I myself have done this where I've been distressed or kind of taken over by an emotion, and to sit with it, to actually go into it, to dive into the emotion and let it grow. I mean, it kind of can grow inside me and transform and shift into something actually really, an image or a feeling that actually teaches me what I need to be doing next. So I feel as though emotions are crucial signals to us every day. Every single emotion is a signal that something needs to be addressed, especially painful, negative emotions. And that kind of meditation practice where you are able to sit with them and stay with them and know that they're not going to kill you, they're not going to overwhelm you and turn you inside out, but they actually will tell you what's wrong. It's like pain tells you that something's wrong with your arm or your heart. Emotions, negative emotions especially, can tell you that there's something wrong in the world around you or in your mind, that you're interpreting the world in a way that's hurtful. Whatever, they're super valuable. And I think developing that skill to stay with them and treat them with kindness and treat yourself with kindness, which is what meditation also kind of means to me. Mindfulness really does mean paying attention with kindness and compassion. You can get so much work done, so much crucial work done.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
It's a part of my routine. It's a part of my life.
So, Deb, what does a health coach do? Forgive me, I don't know.
Oh, yep. So a health coach helps you with getting goals, right? And so it's not only getting healthy, right? What steps do you need to take to get healthy? And I've helped a few people in the last few years get to their goals or maybe even change their goals, what they think the goals were.
Love it.
But they're not anymore. One particular person that I was working with, I said, well, what are your goals? And we do short-term, mid-term, and long-term goals. And their short-term was, I want to lose 10 pounds in a week. And I went, that isn't going to happen. I said, maybe you might lose a pound or two in a week. It depends on you, but we look at goals. And the funny thing with this particular person is that I said, besides weight, what else do you want to do? And she said, I really want to declutter my house.
Wow, yeah.
And I said, okay, well, let's work on that. But she goes, not the whole house. I go, no, no, no. We're going to take one drawer at a time. And that's what we did. And the funny thing is, we didn't talk about her weight at all. We talked about what rooms she was able to clear out. And when she was clearing out her rooms, she was starting to lose weight and feeling better and sleeping better. She wasn't sleeping either. And so, because I said, the first room, let's do your bedroom first. And so as she was decluttering her house, she was also making herself healthy. A health coach isn't just like, you have to eat salad or, make sure you get all these proteins. It's looking at your whole life and how your environment is affecting you. So for her, having a house that was really cluttered was actually stopping her from sleeping well. It was really weighing her down, all the clutter. And so she got rid of her clutter and she was able to sleep better. She lost some weight and felt better.
It's remarkable. It's a remarkable story because as a health coach who knows all kinds of recommendations to make to someone who would like to lose weight or do something physical, and your client came up with the solution that actually many people would not consider bringing to a health coach, because really, what is a health coach going to do about decluttering your house? But what I love about that is that just being with you, the space that you as a healthy person who's interested in their health created, brought that up for her. This is what I want to be doing. Somehow she knew that there was a crucial connection that you didn't recommend to her, but she knew it and you went with it. And I think our psyches, our emotional bedrock just shoots through everything. And decluttering the house was a psychological move that she needed to make, because the psychological blockage was manifesting in her physical blockages, right? I love the story because you didn't even have to know about psychology. You created a space that she could know herself well enough to recommend this thing for herself. And you were right there with her and helped her make it happen. That's a beautiful story.
Yeah. And with the health coach too, you just keep asking questions, right? Well, you're gathering data.
Yes.
You're gathering data. And I'm not actually making any plans for them. They're making their own plans. They're coming up with their own solutions. I'm just here to listen to them and to maybe give a little bit of accountability that they might need. So but that's what, that's how I do health coaching, is just asking questions. And it's not always about like, are you moving enough? Are you eating enough? Are you drinking enough water? It's your environment. What are you living in that's causing you? Because for me, I know I've been there. I've been overweight. I put myself last and I've been there. I know what it's like.
Yep.
And so by asking questions and letting them come up with their own solutions, they're more apt to stick to those instead of me telling them what to do.
Beautiful.
And that's not my job. My job is not to tell them what to do.
That's exactly right. And that's my understanding of coaching in general, just helping people to kind of uncover what they already know, right?
Exactly.
But won't know for some good reason. But having someone help and witness is really great.
Yeah.
Okay. Deb, you are a health coach and you are very good at taking care of yourself. You've been a teacher who was both unhealthy and healthy. So given that there are plenty of teachers out there who are probably wanting to get up and make themselves healthier and feel better in their bodies, plenty of those people listening right now, what would you recommend they try this week when they have some time to do something a little bit differently that maybe they can carry forward once school gets back into session? What would you recommend? What are your suggestions? Even though I know you don't like to recommend, but you certainly have some suggestions that you could offer based on your own experience.
Okay. Yeah. So the first thing I do is sitting down on Sunday morning, and I have a planner and I plan out the whole week what I'm going to do, like what exercise class I'm attending. Is that my run day? And so I write it in, and I know, like, okay, so that exercise class is 45 minutes. I'm going to give myself, an hour on the treadmill or outside to stretch, run, stretch. I pencil in, I'm walking my dogs, meditating. So anything I really want to accomplish that week, I put what day it's going to be in. And if I am really good, I'll put a
Yeah.
time, like AM, because by PM, I am not going to have the motivation to get my butt off.
Exactly.
And it only takes, like, while you're having your cup of coffee or tea in the morning, right? And you're scheduling your week. So you have an idea of what's coming up and you have it planned. And you know that you're going to go to the gym on Thursday, or you're going to walk your dogs, or you're going to meet up with a friend and walk a couple of miles. And that way you get the social part and the
Yes.
exercise part, the movement, and just make you feel good. For me, that works. I schedule everything in, and I've been doing this. Let's see, I started probably right after my heart attack. So just like, this is what I'm going to do this week. And if I might put like a star next to it, like, this is non-negotiable, you're going to do it. Much as I might not want to, but I do it. And the thing about movement, exercise, is after you're done, you feel good. You feel like you accomplished something. And so sometimes when I don't want to get out of bed and go to that 6 a.m. class, I just remember how good I feel after I exercise, or, after I attend that class. I see people I know, we have laughs, we have conversations, but we also work out. And that's really important. So I think that's like something you could try to do during the vacation week and just see if it fits.
A couple things that this makes me think. One is what you're describing is a routine. As soon as you make something a routine, it's easier. If you've done it enough times, you know what it's going to be like. You know you're going to feel better, and it just becomes something that you don't want to miss, because you'll also feel bad if you miss it. But it's kind of like this. There is something about routinization that makes these less appealing tasks really doable. And the second thing is that I think it's really important for people to pay attention to when during the day they are most likely to get a workout in. You mentioned that, by the end of the day, you're like, no, I'm not going to do it. And I'm the same way. I have to schedule my exercising in the morning because I'm alert in the morning. I have energy in the morning. And by the time I get to 5 o'clock, I can't do it. It's really a drudge. But some people are fantastic in the evening, right? So just knowing yourself and paying attention. Part of it is like, you might not know, but if you notice that every time you schedule a workout at 5 p.m., you don't go to it, there's a clue that maybe you should try something earlier, right? And I think it is a real trial and error to figure out when you're going to overcome all the resistance that is normal for so many of us and find a time that is the least easy to resist.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing I really like to do too is after dinner, taking a walk, most likely with my dogs. It's a nice way to end the day. It just very peaceful for me. And it's just a good way to end the day, settle in and get ready for a good night's sleep too.
I don't know if I've told you this, but I get really impatient with the standard exhortation to teachers that they have to start taking care of themselves. Take care of yourselves, self-care for teachers. In my experience, as someone who cares for a lot of people, and you sound like you're similar, you're always last and everyone else is first. If you are a caregiver like a teacher, sometimes when you're really on the edge or burning out or exhausted, the last thing in the world you want to be told is to take care of yourself, right? Especially if you're not good at it, right? Mm-hmm. So one thing that I really care about, I actually call this fuck self-care. I really think what I care about is being cared for. I think a lot of teachers need to be cared for. And that's not something we talk about in the teaching profession. It's something I'm thinking about all the time because that's actually what I do for a living. But what's the difference for you between self-care and being cared for?
So, I already do self-care, but again, you hear it all the time, right? You got to take care of yourself. Well, you do, but there's only so much you can hear. Yeah. For me, I have amazing family that supports me, which is really important. Yes. But also, I have amazing colleagues that I work with, right? And that I have a few of them that I can go to and talk to and really like flesh out any issues that I'm having. And so I think that's really important for a teacher to be able to have a small group of colleagues that knows what you're going through and maybe have gone through the similar trials and tribulations of being a teacher, and to be able to talk to them and not so much like vent or spew hatred or anything like that, but just ask them like, hey, I am having some major issues right now, and I'm not sure how to go about correcting this or dealing with this. So I think it's really important that teachers have one another to be able to talk to each other about what's going on.
I just want to underline that I think so often caregivers, teachers, people who believe that it's their job to take care of other people and that they should be able to manage that without any problem, that to fight isolation is really important. I think a lot of people I worry that teachers are like, okay, I'll figure this out over my third glass of wine tonight, or I will bitch and moan about my crappy students. And that is actually a non-nutritive, unproductive way of dealing with angst and misery and helplessness. So isolation is not the answer. Reaching out to people is an answer, but they have to be the right people. They have to be your people, as you said earlier. And that means people who can be like, okay, let's talk about the issue. Let's aim at being healthy and both for you and for whoever else is involved in the problem, and not to devolve into just, as you say, spewing hatred. That's just not going to do it. So you have to be selective and careful. And I'm guessing probably pretty disciplined about stopping others who might come to you with the intention of venting and just saying that this is not where I go. I can't go here. Is that something you've experienced? Do you agree with what I've said?
Oh, absolutely. I agree with what you said. Yeah. I mean, I've been teaching for 19 years and I think I've seen a lot of different situations.
So, I just also want to throw out some examples of being cared for. I'm terrible at being cared for, but I have been writing about this and thinking about this. So one example that I just want to throw out there is getting a massage, right?
Yes.
And getting a therapist, because that can be very helpful too, although that can also be work, but it's helpful and relieving work. I can imagine joining a team, bowling, softball, whatever gives you the social joy, but also gets you moving and allows you to play. I mean, playing is really important, I think, whether it's playing an instrument or playing a card game or, playing a sport. I just think playing and lifting out of the pressured life into a place where you can laugh, at least for me, super important for me to be laughing as much as I possibly can. It just releases me and kind of opens up the divinity in me, right? And it allows me to connect with others' divinity as well. So that kind of stuff I think is, I don't know how to help people who are bad at taking care of themselves and bad at getting cared for. Again, it's like people who never thought about it, but it just seems like a topic to be considering. How might I get cared for? I just think for some of us, it's really a tough question.
I think so. And, something else you could do is form a walking group. So 2 days a week or something like that, form a walking group and meet up either after dinner or before or on Saturdays. I think being part of a community is so important. And you're right in regards to teachers being isolated. Even though I share a large office with a group of teachers, but at times it can feel really isolating.
Yeah, isn't that funny? You're in the same room with a bunch of people and you cannot talk about what you need to talk about.
Yeah.
So find ways.
Absolutely find ways and trust the people that you're talking to. I think that's really important. Having that agreement not to tell others what's going on.
I see. Yeah. So being confidential.
Confidential, sorry.
Yeah, fair enough. And that leads me to the last thing that I want to talk about with you, and that is this training that you're doing where you're going to learn how to organize and run what I call, I think, a super creative name, teacher support groups. Terrible name, but it's what they are. They're groups of teachers that support each other. But the key is a getting cared for situation where teachers come together, the facilitator holds them in this confidential space where they get to talk about the worst parts of teaching and feel no shame, feel no blame, but actually be supported in what I call doing emotion work. Just gathering the data, which you've referred to, organizing the data so that it makes sense. Like, this is what might be going on. And our emphasis is psychodynamic because I'm really interested in relationships and emotions because I think that's the basis of all teaching and learning. But kind of cracking open the nuts of terrible experiences or bad feelings in schools, cracking them open and realizing, oh my God, this actually makes sense. There is a connection between me and this person that I can mobilize, I can send good energy to. And ultimately, in these teacher support groups, our goal is to co-create with the teacher who's having a difficulty a plan of action that they can try. It's just an experiment. We don't know. But these are data-based experiments that come out of teacher support groups because of all the questions that we're asking, all the data we're gathering. And usually those plans work. The teachers that I've worked with, you could probably talk about this too. The effect of having this kind of perspective offered and supported in you can be life-changing.
Absolutely. No, you helped me immensely right after COVID and we came back into the classroom. And I feel like, well, I wanted to quit
right.
because I felt like the rules changed somehow, right? It was really just so different from before COVID. And I feel like I didn't get the rules and I had no idea what they were. And so trying to not really deal, but trying to help students who have just gone through this pandemic, they're trying to make heads or tails of what just went on. And so that's why I reached out to you because I needed help because I didn't want to give up teaching, but I really needed help. And you did. You worked with me and it changed my whole outlook on how to teach and how to react to students. And I think it's really important to understand what data or information our students are telling us when they're acting out. And I just remember about the phones.
Can you tell that story quickly?
Yeah, I can tell that story. I love that
It's a
story.
great one.
I think that was one of my first issues that I came to you. I'm like, they don't put their phones away. They're attached to their phones. I don't understand. It's like, I get it, but I don't get it. So I do poetry every week in my class. And so you and I came up with a plan to explore why they like their phones or why do their phones matter to them. And so I had this whole presentation for them. And I said, we're going to do poetry today. Take out your phones. I'm giving you 5 minutes to be on your phones. Well, a lot of jaws dropped, like, Mrs. Calderara is letting us on our phones. Wait a second. She's always telling us to put them away. And I said, but there's a catch. While you're on your phones, I want you to realize how you're feeling, like what's going on in your body, in your mind, and just like your overall feeling. It was interesting because some students knew exactly what to do, to get on their phones, where to go. Other students were like, where should I go? What should I do on my phone? I'm like, I don't know. What do you normally do on your phone? Just go on your phone. Do what you do. And so some of them had a hard time.
Wow.
And so it was interesting.
When they're given
to
permission,
see that.
they're like, oh, wait.
Yeah, some of them like, I don't know where to do. Where do I go? And others were like, perfect. It's like, I'm going to play a game. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go text somebody. So then I said, okay, 5 minutes is up. You've got to put them away. And now you fill out these questions. And it was just like, what were you feeling? What did you do? And so it was just 5 or 6 different questions about their emotions around the phone. Then I said, take that information, that data that you just wrote out, and I want you to create a poem about your relationship with your phone. These poems that my students wrote were beautiful. It helped me so much to understand the importance of their phones to them. And one student, it was a beautiful poem, they had lost their phone the week before. So they didn't have a phone to go on. And I said, well, you can go on your computer if you'd like. But the end of their poem, they wrote about how much, they miss their phone and what they can't do right now because they don't have a phone. And the last line was that we don't get taught how to grieve for the small things. And I was like, wow, it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. But I thought I was going to be teaching the students something about their phone use and their relationship, but no, the tables got turned. I learned how important these phones were to them as a lifeline.
Especially in the pandemic.
It was eye-opening. But after that, yes, students still use their phones in class, but it was different. It was different in regards to like, put your phone away. Instead, I would just say, if you want, you can have your phone on the desk so you can see it. Or if you have to touch it, just don't go on it. And so it was a really great experiment, I guess.
Yeah, it was an experiment.
And it just enlightened me. And it helped me get through that year. It was a piece of that puzzle of how to navigate this new school year and just coming off of a pandemic.
Yeah, it's just so interesting that you mentioned the phrase relationships with phones, because it's so interesting to consider that teaching is about relationships. So many different relationships. Your relationship with yourself, the teacher's relationship with the subject matter, the student's relationship or not with the subject matter, the student's and the teacher's relationship with the acts of teaching or the ways that teaching gets done and learning gets done, right? Are you going to use a phone or not? There's so much going on that you started paying attention to. And in the process, along the way, you realized that students have a lot going on. They have a lot to say. They have a lot of knowledge. They have a lot of wisdom. They have good reasons for what they're doing. And for you to open up your instruction at this crucial moment when your students were also totally disoriented and unnerved by the pandemic and were teaching you stuff through their behaviors that were unusual and unnerving to you, at this moment, you decided to start paying attention to what they were teaching you, not just through their bad behavior, but through their normal behavior using phones that unfortunately, we adults are like, that's not my norm. So we're going to left swipe those phones when in fact, phones should not be in the classroom, in my opinion. But if they are, do a keto with it. Like you did a keto with the students. You asked them what they knew. You asked them about the relationship with their phones. And by doing so, you opened up this world in which having phones was you no longer took a punitive stance to it, but you were understanding and compassionate, but it was also a conversation that you guys could have about, when are phones appropriate in the classroom? Right. So it's just this lovely example of, I think, how emotion work for teachers really does work, which is to gather the data from yourself. Here's something that happened in class today that was really hard for me. We gather the data. We look for what that means about you. We look for what it might mean about the students. What are they teaching you? And then in the process, you come up with a curriculum or a lesson plan that is actually appropriate, strengthens the relationships in the classroom because you're paying attention to what the students are telling you. They don't know what to tell you. It's not that they're conscious of all this behavior, of all this information, but their behavior and your emotions are so informative. They're so rich that doing this kind of work allows you to let in data and information that I think teachers are trained not to want to know, right? But if you do, you can change it up. You can make something happen that doesn't just strengthen the student's grasp of the content. It strengthens the relationships between you and the students and among the students. If you've got strong relationships in the classroom, you can get anything done, right?
Right.
So I just feel like having the wherewithal that you had to both come and get help, but also to be so open-hearted and open-minded about the things that I was suggesting and asking. And then fundamentally your love of your students made you want the idea of hearing from them was not anathema to you. It was like, oh my God, I do want to hear from them. And they know that. I mean, they know you love them, but you were blocked from loving them and that was frustrating you. And so you were frustrated at them. And it's almost a simple process. If teachers have a place to go to do this unpacking, back to teacher support groups, and you learning how to facilitate this kind of environment, this holding environment for teachers to do this kind of work is a next step in your health coaching, it seems to me.
Yeah, I'm excited to do it. And I thank you for the opportunity. And
thank your school.
These training sessions are wonderful because I'm still learning new words, like how to frame what's going on in the class and coming up with solutions. And I'll tell you really quickly, the other day in a meeting, I was just like, oh, that sounds like this frame, It's sinking in. But there's so much to learn about it. And it really makes a difference in your day, how you come home. I will tell you, since our one-on-one sessions a few years back, I don't come home as exhausted as I did, right? Yeah. I'm not stressing the whole day long.
Exactly.
So I think that's really important to leave, if you can, school at school. If you can come home and just be present at home and not worry about what's going on in school. I think that's really an important part of taking care of yourself. But
it's important just to point out that the reason I brought up the TSGs was not really to plug them, although I love plugging them, but to raise them as another example of being cared for. And when you're cared for, and it's not just by the facilitator, you're cared for by everyone else in the group. So you've got this beautiful link, all these linkages among you that you all care and love each other. But having that opportunity to really vomit out what's bad about school and then have it turned into something that's good. That's, I think, a really transformative way to be cared for. And it's not something that is standard for teachers, but really should be. And you're going to start making it standard at your school. Thanks to your school. Your school is funding this. So,
I'm very excited of them. And the two other women that I'm in this training session with, we will look at each other. Sometimes we'll give each other hugs. If we see each other, it's like, do you need a hug? Yep, I need a hug. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Or we have been meeting in a classroom and we'll do like a 10-minute meditation.
Right on.
And we invited another person in the other day because this person seemed a little overwhelmed and stressed. So I asked if they wanted to come in, and she's like, yeah, I need that. And so we try to meet up. It doesn't work all the time because of everybody's schedules, but we try to meet up at least once a week for 10 minutes and do the meditation as we see each other throughout the day, just checking in to making sure that we're okay. And to have that support, it changes your day. It really changes your day. You know that you have a few people checking in on you and making sure that you're okay. And if you're not, you can get a hug from them, or you can take a walk outside the building, a couple of laps in the parking lot with them, and just talk about what's going on. It's a gift. It really is a gift to have a support group within the school building.
Well, Deb, let's end on that note. That's just lovely. Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be working with you. I'm really proud to know you. It's always a pleasure to know really remarkable teachers.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you for everything that you have helped me with. And especially these last 4 years have been just truly a gift. And I thank
of course. I love it. I want to thank the teacher whose story we just told or who consented to be interviewed for their generosity and wisdom and commitment to teaching greatly. You rock. Here are a few more people who rock. Joe, of course, my super fun and thoughtful co-host. My endlessly patient and talented creative partner and strategist, Julian Andrukaya. My brother, Tom Burris, whose song Lifetime, from his amazing album Jabbering Trout, check it out, ushers us into and out of teaching through emotions. My astute script editor and creative genius, Brad Wells. And my son, Wilder, artist extraordinaire, who is constantly blowing me away with his effortless talent. Thank you, one and all. Run to the Teaching Through Emotions Substack right now to find all my writing, my podcast, newsletter, and more. That's teachingthroughemotions.substack.com. Subscribe. Get my stuff in your inbox automatically. If you are a teacher with a story, I'd love to hear it. You can contact me directly and confidentially on my Substack. Again, go to teachingthroughemotions.substack.com and click on Share a Story. And check out the show notes below for how to access my resources. I mean it. Suffering in silence gets you nowhere. Telling your story is the first step towards understanding and relief. Contact me. Chew through and pop those terrible teaching emotions. You will feel better.
It's all true, it's all verified, it's amazing, we're alive, we'll say